Project area then from Milwaukee over to Madison. Currently today there are two stations, Watertown and Brookfield. Watertown is moving forward with the station and we'll be starting the environmental document for that soon. Brookfield has yet to decide whether a station will be put in place there. We expect that to be over the next couple of weeks, that they'll be giving us a decision on if they want to move forward with the station. Some of the details about service and what it'll look like once it's up and implemented. There will be 6 daily round trips from Madison, Milwaukee to Chicago. Going back and forth and throughout the corridor, there will be speeds up to 110 miles an hour. Moving along there, once positive train control is put in place, and that implementation will be in 2016. The speeds will initially be at 79 miles an hour. I mentioned the new stations. Madison is moving forward. There's actually a public information meeting tomorrow night to roll out some renderings, some of the cost estimates, some of the other additional information that's been generated. Watertown, we're just starting the environmental document with Watertown at this time. I mentioned Brookfield, that decision should be made over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. Trains will continue to service the current stations that are existing along the corridor, Milwaukee, the airport started in Glenview and Chicago. And the goal of this project is for rail service to start in 2013. As part of the project also, there is another effort that's underway to look at the corridor from Madison all the way up to the Twin Cities. That initial work will be started later this fall. Once service starts and is implemented up to St. Paul, we'll look to increase to 10 daily round trips between Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, and St. Paul. In addition, the ARA grant that we were successful had some equipment that we're also able to procure, so that will be 2 more additional train sets, and 8 locomotives are part of that part of the grant. That's part of the federal grant that we have those dollars for. Construction of new stations, there was $24 million that was available for that, and implementing those stations along the corridor. We'll actually have some of the first train sets will be manufactured and be ready to put in service in 2012. And we will put those into that Hiawatha line, that Chicago up to Milwaukee, until we have services running in 2013 from Madison over to Milwaukee. Corridor design activities, want to talk about the project schedule, where we are, where we're going to be going with that. Talk a little bit about the land bridge design. As all of you know, there's lots of wetlands and marshes and swamps around here, and the particular construction type that we have across those corridors. To talk about a corridor management plan, and that's really an opportunity for the public, for all of you to help us have our project fit into your community. There's currently a diagnostic team that's going through the corridor. That's a group of rail crossing experts from FRA, from our consulting team, looking at each one of the crossings and making a recommendation on a particular safety treatment. And updated environmental studies. There were commitments that were made as part of the environmental document that was done back in 2004. We need to follow up on those, and we're committed to doing that. And I'll talk about a couple of those in just a minute. The summary of the schedule then, we have final plans for the corridor underway right now, and that's for the land bridges. Land bridges that are identified are 3 are on the critical path for us for moving this project forward. Plans are almost complete for that. We're looking to have a letting for that in late September, with construction starting in late October on 3 particular land bridges here in the Waterloo area. Final plans then for the Watertown and Milwaukee piece will begin and will be started here shortly this fall, and will then be completed by 2011. Goal here is to have all the construction activities completed by 2013 so that service can start shortly after. So these land bridges, again, crossing these large wetlands that are out there, it's a process that piling will be driven down to bedrock so that we can get a firm support. A precast pier cap is then put on the top of those pilings. The segmented decks, the precast panels and decks are then set between the pier caps. Ballast is then put in, and the track is put on top of that. So it's an environmentally friendly type of structure that critters and what have you will be able to move underneath and back and forth along the corridor. Corridor management plan, and moving that forward. We've been working with your task force here with the mayor and his staff on starting a corridor management plan. We'll continue to do that. One of the main things that we can do there is look at aesthetic treatments and bringing that and fitting that in with the community. Fencing is one of the items that will be looked at. If there's opportunities for crossings and some of the aesthetics that could be done at crossings. What we'll do then is we'll work with, currently what we're doing is working with the task force. They've been taking materials up to the older people and to the mayor. We'll continue to do that so that it's really an iterative process moving back and forth, ultimately bringing back out to the public before final recommendations are made. I mentioned that corridor diagnostic team and what they're going to be doing. Each one of the crossings, the grade crossings, will be looked at. Each one of the warning device, the appropriate warning device will be recommended for each one of those. This is something that we need your help on. Is currently where the vehicle, I think we know where the road crossings are, but the pedestrian crossings, bicycle traffic patterns, and what those are, and help us understand so that we can take that and incorporate that into the design. We want to continue coordination. We've had some work with your police staff and the emergency staff here in the community, and we're going to continue to that as we move forward, and certainly want to hear from them. Some of the decisions that we'll be making regarding crossings, we will have to go back to the Office of the Commissioner of Railroads and get ultimate approval on that. So that's part of this process as we move forward. Within the environmental document, there were some commitments that were made, and two of them were for noise and vibration studies that happened. Those will be starting this fall. That information will be gathered and then brought back to another public meeting like this so that that information can be shared. There are some mitigation techniques that can be used for that, and we want to lay out that if we find that there are noise or vibration issues, that we can bring that back and have that incorporated. Environmental permits, any of these wetlands out, again, where the land bridges are, we need to have a Corps of Engineers permit. We've been working on that. That's being finalized right now, and we look to have that in place over the next month or so and have the clearance to do the construction. Proposed new stations, again, Madison, Watertown, and Brookfield making a decision here fairly shortly on whether they want to stop in Brookfield. Each one of the stations, a site-specific environmental assessment will need to be done for that station. The corridor environmental document is done, but now we're required to have a letter from each one of the communities that they want a station, and that will help us, or that kicks off the environmental process and moving that environmental assessment